What's the pettiest reason you've rejected someone? She was 100% convinced that dinosaurs didn't exist. I broke up with my girlfriend in 8th grade because she called me 4 times a day when we didn't have cell phones. I got tired of talking on the phone and broke it off. Every time. And I mean we were in a car. He would say, "Are we there yet?" I have a friend who has a whole list of petty reasons she's rejected guys. He cut his spaghetti before eating it. He wore brown shoes with black jeans. He cut his hair too short. He dropped something and said whoopsie. After watching her favorite movie. Ever after. For the first time he said it was just okay. And then once a month she cries about how she's still single. He held his knife like a pen. This is awful, but it was her laugh. I never told her, obviously, because someone's laugh is a representation of when they are happiest. So shallow as she was, pretty awesome. It was kind of you to not tell her. Someone I had a crush on in middle school told me that my lips disappear under my nose when I smile. I have a big nose. And I found it really hard to smile around other people for a year or two. Until someone else told me I had really nice lips, lol. Talk about impressionable youth. He texted me too many photos of his eggs Benedicts in the morning. That sounds like someone that would cook you eggs Benedict in the mornings though. She laughed like Butthead. You should have laughed like Beavis. You would have made a great couple. We went bowling and she started saying the bowling ball was hurting her fingers. She was convinced that there were bugs inside the bowling ball biting her fingers and that was the reason for her pain. He had way better style. Her toenails were so long whenever she was nearby you could hear clicking from the ground as if she was a dog. Undefined. And yes, she is real and I'm not making this up. For anyone asking how she functioned, I guess she was okay walking around with fungal nails and one shoe size above her normal. The nails kinda curved down so they'd fit snugly into the shoe. What in the world did I just read? That her feet are dog paws. She was texting me to tell me about her standards for men, which were pretty high. That's fine. But I didn't like all the spelling mistakes she was making. Had same name as a horrible ex / bothered me every time I said name. I dated someone with my daughter's name. There were other reasons for breaking up. But it always made me feel uncomfortable. She gave me a hug and a booger that was stuck to her nose got on my shirt, and for some reason I never recovered. It's been 10 years and I still haven't forgotten. Friend of mine saw that her boyfriend had a booger somewhere near his nose. He kissed her. And she realized that the booger was no longer there. So she decided to hug / cuddle for 10 minutes, rubbing her face against his t-shirt. Dude kissed me open-mouthed with relaxed lips. Not meant as a make-out kiss, that was a quick kiss. Just opened his mouth and smashed his face into mine, then pulled back. Ew. It's like the dead fish handshake. But for kisses. You should have done it back. Just both flop against each other's faces. Hot. I was rejected because I didn't like the taste of his preferred beer. That was it. I wasn't asking him to stop drinking it, I just didn't personally want to drink it. We were about to order another round. He asked if I knew the one he had just had. And offered me a taste. I gladly accepted because I try to be open to tasting new things. I just said I found it a little too hoppy for my tastes and I was happy to stick with what I was drinking. I wasn't rude. I said it was nice. But a little hoppy for me. His face dropped. It was almost comical. He then said something along the lines that he had changed his mind and he had better get home. That was the end of that first date. As in, he literally decided he no longer wanted another round. The date was over. He had blocked me on Facebook before I walked the 100m to the bus stop. Pretty sure I dodged a bullet there. ETA, thanks for the awards. He only talked about his stock portfolios and his Mercedes. We were both 26. I bet he runs YouTube ads now. On Get Rich Fast like I did while sitting in his same Mercedes with sunglasses and a slightly oversized suit. She smelled funny. Not bad. It clearly wasn't a case of not washing or anything like that. She just smelled weird. Couldn't get over it. Edit for clarification. I didn't know how to broach the whole "I like you and you're funny and smart and sex is great but you smell weird." So I just moved to a different country. My husband, partner of my years. High school BFF, has always said that I smell exactly like a pizza Lunchable. And he says it's not a bad thing. That at this point it's less like I smell like a Lunchable. And more like the Lunchable smells like /me/ I will never know how to take this. SMH. Smells are weird. Not me. But my friend once rejected a girl for not liking the band Tool. And she was such a nice lady too. Undefined. As a Tool fan. That definitely sounds like a Tool fan. Haha. What a terrible reason. The way he smelled. He smelled like cooking oil or something weird. And his whole house did. It was overpowering. I couldn't do it. This scares me because I have a literal fear of what I smell like. She had the same name as my mom. I just couldn't. Fine, I'll write it Martha. Why did you write that Nam? My ex's name was Simone. She was studying business administration and had a horse. We broke up after she peeped another dude. I got over it. And met another girl. Her name was Simone. She was studying business administration and had a horse. Nope. I hope you find Simone different. I once stopped talking to a girl because she kept putting everywhere in texts. It's so ominous. See you later. Have a nice day. She ate a banana sideways. Would hold it horizontally. Peel it and take bites from the side. Like corn on the cob. Would she eat corn on the cob long ways? Not me. But a girl I hung out with in high school once dumped a boyfriend because she didn't like his socks. She's married with 2 kids now. Her husband's got mad sock game. Obvi. She knew what she wanted. I could not stand her smell. No. She didn't stink. But it was that immune system does not match smell. I just could not get turned on. And the kisses felt like paper. Luckily. We handled this like grown ups and are still friends. He didn't use pillowcases. He owned them but never actually put them on the pillows. I was the one rejected. But the reason I was given was I've been rejected a lot. I want to know what it feels like to reject someone. Their best friend told me they were interested in me too. Dated a guy who was color blind. He'd argue with me about the color blue-green even if I was the only person in the relationship who could actually see blue-green. My husband used to drive me crazy with this speep. Took months for me to convince him he was actually color blind. This dude was super sweet and had a lot of good qualities. He was a plumber and casually admitted to me that sometimes he will bite/clean his nails after work and taste the remnants of what he touched that day. I could not get over that and had to move on. Undefined. And thanks for the funny comments. I'm at work and needed a good laugh. What did I just read? His name was Phil. My name is Lil. Lean into it. Put a bow in your hair. Both wear dungarees. It'll be fun. Every time I asked what she would like to do, it was an annoying I don't know. I also once stopped seeing a girl because I felt like I had to encourage her to make choices all the time. I think autonomy and initiative/sensation seeking are super attractive character traits. And I couldn't imagine being with someone who doesn't possess those traits. My perpetually single friend has turned rejecting people into a bit of a sport. I'll Tinder for her. Which is all sorts of amusing. But one day, I had actually met someone for lunch and thought, here's someone that's kind of her type. I wonder if she'd be interested. I ended up pulling up his website and showing her some pictures of the guy. We get to about the 6th photo in of 2 of his cats in a treehouse. She explains his cats look bratty. Yeah. Well, that's why you're single. Still. 6 years later. He used too many exclamation points. We had promised to see the same movie together, and when I showed up to go see the film, they had already seen it. Not dating. But I had a friend with whom I saw all major Marvel films while they were in theaters. All the way to Infinity War. When I asked if he wanted to go see Endgame, he said he saw it with some other friends and didn't feel like going again. This was never a tradition we explicitly made. But I still felt a bit betrayed. A 10-year journey and he ditched me at the last mile. Bruh, that's peeped. Great, you guys stayed friends for 10 years though. It wasn't just about her nose. Or the way she spoke. But something about the combination of the two that I couldn't get past. All things considered, she dodged a bullet big time. Really hot. Incredibly sweet and smart. But she wouldn't shut the beep up about minions. Reasonable. The tip of her nose would faintly wiggle up and down when she talked. I could barely pay attention to what she was saying because I was fixated on her wiggling nose. She doesn't drink water. Ronaldo would be proud of you. Agua. Her name was one letter off from my mom's. I love this whole thread. Everyone reads like the B-plot of a Seinfeld episode. I dated someone with the exact same name as my mom. Let me tell you, you spared yourself a lot of jokes. Really nice guy. Looked just like my dad's old high school photos. Couldn't get past it? Ha. I broke up with a guy after my now sister-in-law saw a picture of him and said he looked like my brother, whom she was dating at the time. She didn't like my new haircut. I broke things off once because of the size of her teeth. They were tiny compared to the size of her mouth. It shouldn't have been an issue. But it creeped me out. I don't know why. But it was one of those things that I couldn't ignore and gradually became the only thing I could see. Grown woman with a mouthful of baby teeth. Just weird. I have a friend who is the king of breaking up with women for petty reasons like this. I think he may have rejected a girl for her teeth size. He left a perfectly beautiful and sweet woman once because her skin was too pale. Another time it was a potential mate's feet that bothered him. I ran into him at a brewery and he was on a date with a beautiful girl that was dark-skinned and dark-haired, so the pale issue wouldn't be a thing, and as I'm standing at their table chatting, I notice her hand wraps almost completely around her pint glass. Very large hands for a woman. Wouldn't be a big deal for me. But I knew she was doomed in regards to a relationship with this guy. She would call me every single day like 2 minutes after I clocked out from work. I asked her several times to just give me an hour before she called. Let me get home first. I had a 45-minute drive home that was my decompression time. Blast the radio and get over the day's BS. She couldn't do it? That hour was too much to ask, but I couldn't wait to hear your voice. So I broke it off. My friends tell me that's incredibly petty. I feel like she can't respect simple boundaries and it will be a big problem later. Boundaries definitely aren't petty. I got rejected because I was a Libra. Just Virgo things. He didn't have soap at his APT. Even by the third date. No soap anywhere at his place. No dish soap even. He never smelled or anything. But just weirded me out. Perhaps he licked himself clean and rinsed the saliva off. Could work. Thanks. I hate it. His mum went away for a week and he reheated a lasagna. Took a slice out and put it back in the fridge. He did this every night. Reheating the entire lasagna each time. Surprisingly, he didn't get food poisoning. But I just couldn't handle that. He was so nice. But just not the smartest guy. I had an ex who I asked to put a pizza in the oven. And he did. I took a bite out of it when it was done and realized he'd left the plastic film on and it melted into the pizza. I thought it was just weird cheese at first. He then blamed me for making him cook poor people food that he didn't know how to cook. 'Cause his mum apparently didn't buy that stuff. His mum did buy that stuff 'cause I'd talked to her about food recommendations before. The reason he didn't know is 'cause his mum cooks every meal for him and he never sees it before it's finished. He assumed she makes everything from scratch. The poor people food bit would have been it for me. Zero tolerance for that kind of elitism. He fake laughed loud quite often.